It's my dream desk. This desk is my dream. I have spent so many hours, so many sleepless nights just sketching and writing down ideas, trying to think through everything possible to make the perfect desk for a creative person. I don't even want to pin it down to like a videographer or a photographer or somebody who works with audio, because as a YouTuber, I do all those things. I started my sort of professional career as a recording engineer, and then after that I did 12 years as a professional photographer and videographer, and now I'm combining all of those things running 2 full-time YouTube channels. So this desk and this setup needs to do so many things well, and at the same time, all of my previous desks were pretty ugly. There were cables everywhere, and so I went a little bit nuts on the cable routing side of things, which I'll show you. If you'll notice, you could basically see no cables. Every single part of this desk and every single piece of gear was painstakingly chosen and selected and put together. Oh, I can't wait to show you. Let's go. All right, and let's start with the desk itself. Again, I've got a video that goes over the actual desk build and how I was able to save literally like $3,000 to $4,000. But yeah, so this top is from a company called Interbuild. You can get it from like Home Depot or I think on Amazon in some countries, and they just ship it to you like you'd get anything else shipped to you. It just happens to be a giant tabletop. And this is made of solid teak, a live edge on the front and live edge on the back, which for me was not a problem because there's basically no cables or anything that needs to go around back. I'll show you that more in a second. And it is sitting on a pair of legs from a company called Fully, and they are the Jarvis hand crank legs. Again, check out the other video, but I'll just quickly go over it. I got these legs because they're set back, and so that gives you a lot more room for foot clearance. It also looks cooler, and it's better for cable routing. And I totally don't mind the hand crank kind of thing. I was on a budget for this desk, and so I could either get like a pretty sketchy quality electric sit-stand desk or adjustable desk, or I can get a great quality hand crank desk. So I want it to last a long time, so I got the hand crank version. And the hand crank folds in and out, and it happens to be the perfect hanger for my headphones, so win-win, win-win, win-win-win. And the main powerhouse behind the entire desk, the computer behind it all, is an Apple MacBook Pro, the newer 16-inch with the M1 Max. I got the 24-core GPU, pretty hard to get, but I did get that one, and I think that's kind of the sweet spot for which laptop to order. And as you'll see in these B-roll clips, there is one cable, one Thunderbolt 4 cable running out of that laptop and straight in and down the monitor arm, right underneath, over to an OWC Thunderbolt 4 hub. And from that Thunderbolt 4 hub, I think it's getting 96 watts of power to the laptop itself. So with that hub, absolutely everything else plugs into it. And one of those things plugged into the hub is the monitor behind me. This is an ultra-wide monitor. This is an ultra-wide monitor from BenQ. It is the BenQ PD3420Q. Yeah, so it's a 34-inch ultra-wide. I decided to go with this for the new desk setup because I do a ton of video editing, and just having all that space for the timeline to work in, oh, so nice. There are a few powered ports on the monitor itself, and so I've rigged up a spare powered USB-C cable so I can charge various devices when I need to, and then tuck it right back up behind the monitor when I'm done. The color's pretty good on it. It can do HDR, but it's not really fantastic. I use it for just my daily tasks and when I'm editing SDR video. And so check out this next part. The monitor arm itself is actually a lot cooler than the monitor, I think. This is a monitor arm from a company called Prime Cables. It's just listed as their sort of heavy-duty monitor arm. I'll leave links for everything in the description, of course. But what I found about this monitor arm in particular is that it has all these hidden features that aren't advertised. I almost think like it was being engineered for these things, and then maybe it didn't meet some kind of requirement or whatever. But there are ports all over this, so you can run cables into the front and into the back, and then straight down after that underneath your desk, which is amazing. The third video of this series is covering all of the cable routing specifics, and so make sure you subscribe and check out how we got the cable routing so insanely good on this desk. I'm so proud of it. We're trying to put out most of our videos in HDR nowadays, including this video right now is actually in HDR. So if you're on an HDR screen, enjoy. If you're on SDR, it should actually still look great. Working with and color grading HDR footage is an absolute nightmare normally. But what has allowed me to do it and actually export half decent looking HDR footage is the fact that I have that XDR display on that 16-inch MacBook Pro. And so when I'm working on HDR projects in DaVinci Resolve, I just lift up the monitor a little bit, put the Apple laptop down below, and I've got my HDR monitor and my SDR monitor up above. And so far it's been working really, really great. Let me know what you think about this whole HDR thing down in the comments below. I jumped past the stand for the MacBook Pro. You'll notice it's like a 2-slot stand. It's really sturdy. It's made out of solid metal. I'll put a link to the exact one that we bought. In the second slot, I always have my Remarkable 2 tablet, which is probably the best tech purchase that I've made in the last 2 years. And I'll quickly show you in a second, but I do want to do a full overview and review of that device later on because I think it can help out a lot of people like it did with me. Okay, over to this really cool keyboard and mouse and calculator and desk mat and foamy thing for your hands. This is a kit that comes from a company called Lowfree, and they actually sent this to me. Upon my request, actually, I was like, this looks like the coolest keyboard and mouse ever. And they offered to send the black gold kit over to me. And so it includes the keyboard, which has blue switches in it, like it's a nice... Make sure I'm not like destroying my computer when I'm doing this. But yeah, it's got a nice sound to it, kind of a retro sort of typewriter design to the keys. And so every time I have to go and write like an email or like anything longer, I'm like excited about it. I can't wait to like sit down and just... The mouse is really cool too. It's got actually a lot of functionality, which I didn't really realize at first. And of course there's a calculator with it here too, because you'll notice there isn't that numeric pad on the keyboard itself. So it's really nice to have this on me, because I do find that I was like diving into my phone pretty often to pull up just the calculator and make some calculations, and then I get super distracted. So it's been really nice to just use a calculator and then get back to work. And that kit also comes with this cool lamp, which I like, and it's also, you can adjust how bright it is, and also a pretty decent Bluetooth speaker. It's just sitting over that way. Okay, and we can't ignore these beautiful looking audio monitors, these speakers that you see on the stands there. There's some really cool stuff going on, but the monitors themselves are from a company called Atom Audio, and these are the T5Vs. The performance that you get out of them versus the cost of them is pretty amazing, and I really especially love the tweeter design on them. They have a ribbon design, and there's something about that design. It's just like so smooth sounding. And I found with my last studio monitors, which are super high quality in their own right, over to these, I was able to work for longer. I didn't kind of get that ear fatigue that you get with a little bit more harsher sounding speakers. So that was really nice. I've been really enjoying them. And you will notice that they are on stands, and this is a big deal. This is like a PSA now, real quick. I see so many people with such amazing desk setups, and yet they have their speakers just seated on their desk, or maybe on a little bit of a stand, but the actual height of the speakers is like super low. And I know this is from my audio days and being extra picky, but it really is a big deal where your speakers are sitting. Like if there's any one thing that you can do to really help your audio quality of your videos or of your music, get those speakers up so that your ears are basically right in between the tweeter and the woofer. If you can do that, you're actually hearing the highs and the mids properly. If they're down here, you're just not. And so lots of times you can, in the mix, you wind up making your mix brighter than it needs to be. And so the people listening on their end, you know, if it headphones or whatever, be like, too much high frequency. And if you'll notice again, they're like, you don't see any cables. And that's because I ordered some custom cables from a company down in LA called Pro Audio LA, and they'll just make whatever kind of cable you want. And so I ordered them up to have both cables, the power cable and the speaker cable in the back, to have a 90-degree turn in them. And so if you'll see, they tuck right underneath the speaker and then right down the pipe underneath the desk. It's just so clean. Again, I'm gonna go over all the specifics of how to do this and what it really looks like in the next video, so hit subscribe. And keeping on the audio end of things, you can see over on the far end over there is my mic that I use for all my voiceover. And my old mic setup was this huge long microphone, and it was on this sort of long tabletop stand. The entire thing wound up being like this long. It was just ridiculous. I chose this microphone because the frequencies that the microphone picks up works really nicely with the frequencies of my voice. And it's not gonna work for everybody, but the Lewitt LCT 440 Pure mic, I think is a great value for money. Again, I got another custom cable made by Pro Audio LA, and so it just goes straight down this tiny little mic stand, wraps around when I'm not using it, and right down into a hole underneath the desk. So you'll notice a theme here, all the cables just go straight down underneath as soon as possible, which keeps things super tidy. And then when I want to do voiceover, I just unfurl the mic on the stand, and then I do my voiceover, curl it back up, out of the way. It's been working so good. And one more piece to the whole audio puzzle, my audio interface, and that is an Apollo Solo from Universal Audio. And I went with this one because they have really nice sounding preamps, really nice outs. Everything's very, very clean and quiet. It's got lots of juice for your microphones, which my last one definitely didn't. It was super annoying. It's tactile, it's very easy to use. And most importantly for me, there is an actual like little computer chip in there so that I can use my Universal Audio effects and plugins that I purchased like literally a decade ago, like a Pultec Pro EQ and 1176 LN compression. Beautiful. I'll stop now. And of course we got to talk about this chair that I'm sitting in, and I have to say it is definitely the biggest splurge of this entire desk build. I saved so much money on the desk itself that I decided to go for it and get a Herman Miller Aeron chair. And I also got it used, so I paid about half of what it would be worth new. Such an amazing design aesthetic to them. It's got mesh bottom, mesh back with some tech going on in that mesh that keeps you nice and cool during the day, and there's different sort of tensions to the mesh as it goes down, even though it all looks like the same mesh. I don't know, it's crazy stuff going on with this chair. Another super important part to my desk setup and my working setup, I guess you could say, is this DaVinci Resolve speed editor. Using this little thing for editing is so fast. It's got this weighted tracking wheel, which is super nice, and just switching in between source and timeline, and the in and outs and the splits and the ripple deletes, like everything is just so fast on this. And so when I'm going through my initial edit, my normal keyboard gets pushed forward and I'm just on this thing and I can do pretty much everything on it, which is super nice. Oh, I can't forget this. So this is something, I know this is just gonna seem like a photographer brag, but this is my Leica M2, the 50mm Summicron dual range, and this thing is always on my desk. I used to shoot a ton of film professionally, and so I've just always loved the workflow. And this camera, it serves two purposes. One, I use it for day-to-day photography, and two, anytime I'm like sitting at the desk thinking about stuff, I just grab it. Like one, this is super weighty for what it is. If you've ever held one of these, you know it's a freaking workout, but it just feels just so nice. It's all made of brass. Anyways, but this is basically turned into like my version of a fidget spinner. I just sit there and I think and just like fiddle around with the camera, and it's great, and I love it. So deal with it. Yeah, and lastly, this is a Remarkable 2 tablet. I use this thing literally every single day of my life. It really helps me focus. I write my scripts on here, I write my to-do lists on here, I write my weekly, monthly, yearly plans on here. Sometimes I include it in thumbnails, and it feels like paper, it erases like paper, like everything. There's really nothing else like this, and I know you might say, oh, I'll just get an iPad, but it is a completely different experience. And again, I can't have any distractions in my day, or as little as possible anyways, and there are zero distractions on this, so I absolutely love this device. As you can see, this entire desk, I mean, it took so long for me to figure out and design and make sure everything was gonna work together. The theme for the desk was covering all the bases for a creative person and doing so in a really aesthetic way and a very clean way, and sort of like a permanently clean way of doing it. So all those cables running through all these little ports and channels, those aren't going anywhere. I had to sort of lock in my setup when I did all this, which I don't mind doing, but now like there's no room for messing it up. It's just sort of baked into the desk at this point. I also know that it can grow with me. I can always change out the monitor. I can run a desktop setup if I really want to. There's always room to change things up and expand as we go into the future, which is also super important. So let me know what you think about the whole setup. Again, check out that first video on the desk build itself, and then on the next one, all about cable routing with this desk, and there's a lot to talk about there. And head over to the Run the Joules Twitter account. I'm gonna post a couple of photos of this, and I would love to see your desk setups too. And I know Degju, who runs the other half of this channel, he's working on his desk setup right now, and he's going for a completely different look and feel. So I'm really looking forward to see how that one turns out. All right, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.